almost makes ground. He taps it back to shoulder. That's a goal! They've just got to sit here. It's as good as you'll ever see.
Good evening. Welcome to the third Bigfooty Blues podcast. Joining me as always is the one, the great, the myth, the legend, etc., etc., the old Dark Navies. How are you, Adrian?
I'm doing very well, Wookie. I'm really careful to not muff my introduction this week. Last week was pretty interesting. I'm doing fine, mate.
We are, unfortunately, devoid of caring, which may be why the intro has gone so well this week.
How am I going to be able to tell that?
We just won't know. We just won't know. So, I guess straight into business. We all saw the game against Collingwood on Sunday. Unfortunately, we didn't win. I thought we put up a good fight. How did you see it?
Disappointing. Mostly it was. I thought we had it. I thought we had it. And I thought we had no reason to run out of legs. We had no right to do that. Considering they were down a player fairly early. We had a sub coming on in the last quarter, so should have had a little bit more legs, albeit they were Brock McLean's legs. We had the extra time in between our first round and second round game. I just don't. It was a bit perplexing to me that we ran out of legs and they were full of running.
There's been a lot of vitriol surrounding Bootsma's role in defence, and I see on the forums that you're relatively positive about it. How did you see Bootsma's performance?
I don't know. I'm in the undecided category as far as Bootsma goes. I can see that he has some reasonable closing speed and he's a good spoiler and stuff. I'm not sure that I'm not necessarily in his camp fan wise, but he's only young, and I think he should be somebody that gets a few games. And, he's to come into the side full time. I think just give him little stints, 4 or 5 games, send him back and give him another go. I think he's developing. But I did read something interesting on the forums. Just Cruising did a really good analysis of Collingwood's Elliott, who kicked a bag of goals, and Bootsma was largely credited with being responsible for those goals. And he really broke up each one of those goals to show that Bootsma wasn't really at fault much of the time. He might have been in the vicinity at different times, but he had various opponents, Walker, Tui, and it seems to be, the team as a whole didn't pay Elliott much respect, and I think it was more Carlton going after the ball carrier and letting the man slide out the back constantly as part of the way we attack the game, rather than any sort of defensive deficiencies on Bootsma's part. So he was probably being a little bit harshly dealt with, but we love our scapegoats, don't we?
Well, there's so few of them around anymore. I mean, we got rid of Jordan Russell, and it's noticeable that he had a bad game on the weekend playing on the small forwards. But we got rid of Thornton, we got rid of Russell. There are no scapegoats left, so it's all down to the new guys.
Yeah, we've still got Davies. He played, but he's escaped most of the blame. Maybe he wasn't visible. I'm not sure, but and Joseph wasn't playing, of course.
There's always Joseph, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It would have been an automatic.
I mean, I think if Betts had played, that game may have had a different outcome. He's more prone to doing things with especially against Collingwood. So,
yeah.
I mean, Yaron is turning into something of a forward force, which has been pretty good, to be honest, but he's not Betts. Lacks the discipline, perhaps, that Betts has. So...
Yeah. No, we don't... Not... doesn't quite have those pressure acts.
Mm.
And I'm not sure that game on the weekend was on Sunday was one for it was fairly open. It became fairly open in the forward lines, didn't it? Yeah, probably because of the rain and the heavy legs and whatnot. But Betts certainly would have put a little bit more pressure, and you wouldn't have had the Pies marching it out quite so easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big men remains an interesting question. They didn't really perform much on the weekend. I mean, other than Cruiser, who really didn't have much competition to go with anyway. But Rowan Casbolt, I'm still in two minds about this. I mean, Rowe got a goal, but inside 50, they really didn't offer anything. How did you see the big men's performance?
Yeah, well, I mean, it probably wasn't a day. It wasn't a day for the big men anyway. But look, Rose got a lot of praise out of that game, and Casbolt's copped all the flack for a down day. But he provided a contest going into the ruck, and he did take three contested marks. Admittedly, he only took three marks, but they were contested.
Yeah, but they were on the wing. That's
he's
look
had
at the
to be
replay of
the
the
cloak,
game.
sort of chasing up the ground sort of role, but
Yeah.
still contested marks, and we lack anybody with Wade out. We lack anybody that can take a contested mark. So, three contested marks in a game. If you were averaging three contested marks for a year, yeah, you're going to go close to All Australian.
And don't get me wrong, that's true, but you're not going to get them in the you're not going to get them as a forward if you're taking those marks up, between wing and half back, which is where unfortunately he was taking them. He wasn't doing anything forward for the second week in a row, and I think that's where he probably needs a run back in the reserves for a week or two.
Yeah, who would you have come in for him? Or
I would almost be certain that Hampson will be returning this week.
Okay.
He's back he only had an appendix out, unless you've got complications, and he, as far as I'm aware, he didn't. There's an article yesterday saying that that they expect him back. So I expect him back 2 weeks out, and so he did particularly well with his marking inside 50, which is where we've lacked. So with Wade out for at least another 2 weeks, I think Hampson's going to get another run.
No, I agree. He's an immediate in.
I think Roseworth persevering.
Got heart.
He showed a bit, but I think Casbolt might be joining Warnock in the reserves for a little while.
Yeah, well, it's a few calling for Warnock to come back in, on the strength of a decent VFL game too. I mean, it's hard to see how that balance would work.
I don't see it working. I don't see him as a forward. I don't see him being able to replace Cruiser in the ruck, and Cruiser seems to be having the time of his life in the middle. So it's really I just don't see. I see us having a very overpaid ruckman in the VFL this year.
Yeah.
And whether it's Hampson or Warnock, I mean, we signed both of them to 3-year deals last year, and either way, we're going to have an overpaid ruckman in the VFL. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're precious commodities, and we've got them signed up so we can do something with them down the track. But neither of them seem to want to leave. So
this is true. Anyway, moving along. Best the post. That's no good. The Player of the Year. That's what I'm trying to get out. And thanks to the Bigfooty forum. The votes this week are in, and no surprises really. Cruiser topping out the vote there.
The beast.
47 people voted in total, so slightly down on last week. But 30% of the votes went, 28.9% of the votes went to Cruiser. 25% of them went to Jamison, and 20% of them went to Garlett, with Yaron and Judd wrapping up the top 5. For the best new blue, Rose started strongly. At one point it was 14-1 You, of course, being the only holdout there, Odeon.
I'm a trendsetter.
But then the rest of the forum seem to come around, and Lucas is the best new blue for this round with 23 to 17. Cumulatively, overall, in terms of the leaderboard, Cruiser has hit the front with the second place last week, first place this week, totaling 450 odd votes. Gibbs basically on the strength of last week's voting with 362. Judd with 251 votes is coming in third there. And Lucas is, of course, way out in front of the rest of the competition for Best New Blue with 37 votes.
Yeah, go figure. Huh? Lucas is he's copped a bit of a bagging after that game, and he's still come out the best new player. So good on him. I think he fell off a couple of tackles, but everything else he did, the gut running he did, he took a courageous mark in there too, just outside 50, and he's showing some real signs and development's happening fast now that he's getting some games.
Yeah. So I guess we move on to this week's game against Geelong. Always a big game. We've had some very close games over the years. For me, I think there was one, I'm not sure, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, where Warnock was basically concussed and tried to take a shot that would have won us the game and missed. And we have actually beaten them as well in recent times. So
yeah,
there's an interesting historical perspective to this as well, in that everyone associates Geelong, every real Carlton supporter associates Geelong with the actions of Darren Milburn and Stephen Silvani a couple of years back, and as well as that, and perhaps more so, the 95 grand final.
Yeah. Even more, there's not some pretty bad history as far as we're concerned versus Geelong. Some bad omens in that we've played Geelong 10 times at Docklands and we've lost all those games. The games that we've won during that time, one was at Princess Park right at the end there, and two were at the MCG. They're the ones thinking of where we've had some recent history winning against them, but they're at the G. So 10 losses out of 10 games at Docklands. And this game's being played at Docklands, so we've got some history to overcome there.
We don't seem to like Docklands as a ground.
No, we don't. Well, that's another story. We'll talk about that later as far as getting our membership up and actually getting the hell out of that joint. But as far as the history that I remember, obviously the 95 grand final was brilliant. We also played a game in round 12 of 1995. It was a classic, a 3-point win to us. Part of our streak, our 16 in a row we ended up with, and that was a fantastic game. But I think back to 1987, round 7, days after Peter Motley's car accident. We fronted up for Geelong. Now Craig Bradley and Paul Molly Meldrum were quite good friends of Mott's, and they had every right not to be playing in that game. They were pretty shaken up, but the boys knuckled down for Mott's that day, and we came away with a 56-point win. I sort of remember that because it was just such a weird feeling, knowing what had transpired, not knowing how Mott's was going to come up. It was just those few days later, and sort of football was the last thing on your mind at that time. But the boys, they obviously knew Mott's would be, telling them to get out there and give it their all, and they certainly did. That's one of my lasting Geelong Carlton memories.
Yeah, I think for mine, the standouts are, as I said, the Milburn incident. I honestly didn't think he was going to get out of there alive. That was a rather scary moment, I think, with him baiting the crowd and everything as well. It wasn't the smartest thing he could have done, especially given they were down by more than 10 goals at the time as well. It just didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But getting back to that historical perspective, the last 5 times we've played, the last 3 of those have been at Etihad. We've lost. The 2 before that at the MCG, we won. We lost 6 of 9 at the Etihad last season, so our record there not fantastic. But new coach, and who really knows?
Yeah, the Cats have just played at Etihad, haven't they? And had a big whinge afterwards. But
Yeah, and just a reminder: this game is live on 7 if you're in Melbourne, and hopefully it's live in Adelaide as well, which it is. Woohoo! If
we got shoved out. Carlton Collingwood got shoved out to the boonies in Brisbane last week.
Well, it's on 7, mate, in Perth at 5:30 in the afternoon, and those ratings have been a little bit down. Yeah, and you won't be getting it at all, Adrian. So
it'll be a Foxtel job, probably.
yeah, it is on Fox Footy. There, it's on. You're getting the Gold Coast Suns versus the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, probably on about 5 different channels.
Yes, it's pretty much on everything. So, and North Melbourne and Sydney for you as well, mate. So, yeah, poor you.
Yeah, no, I'll be watching Fox Footy, mate.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I thought about launching my own commentary there for a while. Just commentating my way through a game.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, I don't think I'll do that. That'll be too much effort. So, how's your feeling about this game? Geelong, they pulled back from a 40-plus point, what looked like a 40-plus point hiding to win the game against North with the last kick of the game. Us, we're Norton 2. How are you? How do you see this game ending up?
Yeah, toss a coin, mate. It's a bit of a lottery with us. We've been decent for extended periods of time in each game, and we've not like we're getting blown away, and we should have won last week. But I rate the Cats. They're a strong side, and they're mentally tough. As far as you get in a close one with them, they're invariably going to win it. So we need a lot to go right, because I don't imagine us blowing them away. So if we win a close one, we're doing pretty well. Look, their forwards, Hawkins and Pods. They're decent key forwards compared to what we're probably going to have in it, whether it be Casbolt Rowe or whether it be Rowe Hampson. But I think our defenders, I rate Jamo and Henderson as far as being able to handle Hawkins and Pods, and I'm thinking it's interesting, isn't it? Because Pods is the power in the Geelong side, so you'd think Jamo would go with the power, but Hawkins has become a really good body-on-body player, and Henderson sort of seems to match him athletically, but I don't know about standing toe-to-toe. So Jamo's getting the best forward, and I guess Hawkins is their best forward. So Jamo's he had re-roll kick 0 on him, cloak kick 0 on him. It's a great start. He's in top-notch form. So Jamo to Hawkins, and Henderson will run up the ground with Pods as he leads out, I guess. And down the other end, Lonergan and Taylor they're a pretty awesome combination as far as defenders. Casbolt and Rowe, we can only hope for a contest, and we're going to be relying on Jeffy and Yaron again.
Betts is out for 2 more weeks apparently. So
yeah.
Look, we get Scotland back. His experience down back and his kicking skills going to be pretty useful. We could get Ellard back this week. Apparently he's fit and up and running. And I like Ellard. I think he's the best player possible for the sub, to be honest. Especially as an impact player. He's done it a number of times for us over the years. And I think he's much better suited as a sub than someone like McLean, who I don't think the sub suits him at all. Just you don't want a slow player coming on in the last quarter to do nothing apparently, which is pretty much what he did this weekend.
Yeah.
So, so look, I think we can win. I just don't want to see us getting off to a 3-goal start and throwing it away again. And I'll be most exasperated if we have another close game. That will. I don't want us to be 3-0 or Norton 3 rather coming into round 4 against West Coast in Perth.
Yeah.
So it's who will get a massive performance boost against Melbourne this weekend as well. So.
Yeah, no, that'll play them back into some sort of form.
You play me back into form. I haven't been on a field in 10 years.
You mentioned Melbourne. I don't feel as bad now. It's a nice little pick me up. Thank you.
Look, we haven't been flogged at all, and we've done okay in terms of our play. We're getting better, I think, and we'll only get better. It's just I hope that it's in time. I really do, because we've got the team, we've got the talent to make the finals. We've got a finals experienced coach, and it's about time they all put up or shut up.
Yeah,
I think we've waited long enough.
Yeah, that's it. There's no patience. One of our chats previously that we left on the cutting room floor, I said that. At 2011, we were 5th place. Last year, we had a lot of injuries and some inconsistency, but a lot of injuries. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to sack a coach and bring him in, and that's because you think that 2011 was our rightful place. So as far as I'm concerned, we're a 5th place team or better. Otherwise, what was the point in getting a new coach? So,
well, his whole appointment was based on, Ratton cannot take us where we need to go. Malthouse will be able to do so, and you've got to hope he does. You've really got to hope he can do that, because at the moment those signs aren't as impressive as they could have been.
Having said that, I was a bit down on the game plan early on, and probably against Richmond. I couldn't figure out what it was, but I'm still trying to work out what it is, but it just seems to me we're going to the boundary if there's no other option. So that makes a bit of sense. We don't want to be turning the ball over in the middle of the ground. We don't want to give our opposition the opportunity to go either side. So we're bottling it up on a wing and creating a contest. That's probably better than turning it over in the middle of the ground.
Yep.
But if the instruction is, you can use the corridor if you've got the option, then I'd be happy with that. So I'm hoping that's what it is, and sort of just little signs here and there that it's maybe not as damaging. And I think half our problem is we're doing a lot more defensive running, and we're possibly too knackered to get to the forward contests with as much ferocity as we have in the past. I'm not sure.
No worries. Well, I guess. Sense? Yeah. No. Who knows? Look.
What do you think? What do you think, Doc? Doc? Yeah, that's what he said last week too.
Well, we were going to have an Ask Doc segment, but he's not available to us at the moment. We had to leave this a bit later than we normally do, and so he couldn't make it. But if you would like to be on the podcast with us, and if you've listened to this one tonight, you're going to know that we need some help. But if you'd like to be on, look, shoot myself, I'm the Wookiee, or ODN, the Old Dark Navies, shoot us a message, post in the thread, and we'd be delighted to have some extra people on with us, because God knows we aren't professionals, and we could use some more people to help us out with this.
I thought we were going somewhere with this, mate. It was flooding in.
No, we're doing okay, but it can always be better.
Through that.
And just, keep an eye out on the forums for us. And ODN, you got anything?
Um, just our historical perspective threads are going great guns. We're like, they're feel good threads, and it's one thing that all supporters agree with. So every week we are running one of these historical perspective threads regarding our upcoming opponent, and encourage people to get into those and have a look. Encourage people to get in and vote. The votes were down a little bit for our Player of the Year. Keep it up. Keep getting in there. It's good to have participation. And not strictly board related, but we're talking about our problems that Eddie had, and we're talking about the need to get 50,000 people. I mean, if anybody on the boards at the moment has the ability to go and buy a membership, don't wait for the wins to come. Our membership is starting to become notoriously fickle, and if everybody, a couple of years ago we said no passengers, it'd be good if we can get everybody to sign up, so the rest of us don't have to suffer through the Etihad debacles all the time.
Yeah, it'd be handy to get back to the MCG and maybe even win a few.
Oh, I wouldn't have what.
Just a final note, this is the 213th game between Carlton and Geelong coming up. As we do against most Victorian sides, we have the advantage, 116 games to 94 with 2 draws. So,
take that.
On that note, I'll say good night to you, Odion.
Good night, Wookie.
And I'll say good night to Doc.
See you, Doc. Thanks. Nice chatting again, mate.
And I'll say good night to the rest of you. We'll see you all on the forums. Remember, we're trying to grow the community. We really do want to feel that we're all part of the Bigfooty family, and on the Carlton forum in particular. Until next week, we'll see you later.
See you guys.
Almost Max Brown, he takes it back to Sheldon, that's a goal! Just got to sit here.